Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Imani Ma'at,
I'm J. Bernard Kine Sr.
and we would like to welcome you to another episode of Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. We have an amazing show lined up this evening. You know, we're going to have to go to like 2 hours because 1 hour just doesn't get everything in that we want to share and that we want to do. But that being said, to all of our guests, new and old friends who are joining us, please make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And you can also link with us on Facebook. We have a lot of Facebook loyals. Thank you so much. And LinkedIn. We have folks on all three platforms. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to get right into this so that we can get to our guest.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
We usually always begin our show with a spiritual moment, welcoming of the ancestors. But before I do that, I had a client ask me today in a session, because I always start my therapy sessions with the similar type of greeting. And this person wanted to know about ancestors, and it sometimes she indicated that it bothered her because she was thinking of ancestors in the immediacy of the moment. So what I had to share was when I used for the ancestors, when I went to Ghana in 2019, I had a very spiritual experience, and I recognized it was the greater ancestors from not only the continent, but the diaspora, where many of our ancestors long before our immediate family members had lived, walked, traveled, suffered. And so when I shared that with her, that was a different understanding. So not only of the immediacy of our family members who may have moved on to the next realm, but those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before us. So with that being said, let us begin. I want to invite you to close your eyes for a moment if you wish to participate. And I'm going to strike the ting shawls. And when you hear the ting shawls while your eyes are closed, begin taking 3 in and out through your nose. And then I have a brief reading from Thich Nhat Hanh, who was, I should say, he is an ancestor now, but was a great Buddhist monk, knew Dr. Martin Luther King personally. They were close friends, wrote a letter for Dr. King to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, and Dr. King did for him also for his peace work in Vietnam. So please join me. Breathe breath in and out of the nose. Begin to relax your body as we welcome the spirit of our ancestors to join us, to be with us as we move through this podcast, this show. We welcome them to fill our hearts with wisdom as we listen to our guest tonight, as we give thanks for the opportunity of sharing. Ashe. I want to read to you briefly 2 keys to compassionate communication. 2 keys to compassionate communication. This is the text. If you're interested in purchasing at some point, I think you can see it. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. This camera is confusing to me.
It's not hard.
Yeah, this is a very interesting and very easy read book on communicating. I'm going to read 2 keys to compassionate communication. We communicate to be understood and to understand others. If we're talking and no one is listening, maybe not even ourselves, we're not communicating effectively. There are 2 keys to effective and true communication. The first is deep listening. The second is loving speech. Deep listening and loving speech are the best instruments I know for establishing and restoring communication with others and relieving suffering. We all want to be understood. When we interact with another person, particularly if we haven't practiced mindfulness of our own suffering and listen well to our own selves. We're anxious for others to understand us right away. We want to begin by expressing ourselves, but talking first, like that doesn't usually work. Deep listening needs to come first. Practicing mindfulness of suffering, recognizing and embracing the suffering in oneself and in the other person, will give rise to the understanding necessary for good communication. When we listen to someone with the intention of helping that person suffer less, this is deep listening. When we listen with compassion, we don't get caught in judgment. A judgment may form, but we don't hold onto it. Deep listening has the power to help us create joy, a moment of happiness, and to help us handle a painful emotion. It is for the ancestors, which he is. Ashe.
Ashe.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Amen.
Amen. That was wonderful. And it's just so interesting because I picked up Amakiyasu's book. Amakiyasu was on the show with us 2 weeks ago, and her book is Buried Treasure Earth, Your Golden Soul. And it's filled with affirmations. And you know, I just love, love, love affirmations, writing them, reading them, absorbing them. And so the one that I have bookmarked this evening is about judgment. And you just mentioned that, and it says, judgment is a burden. Free yourself, let it go. That's so easy. You know, we think that we're doing something to somebody else when we're judging, or, you know, something is wrong with them. And you know, it's really locking us up and confining us. So it's like, it's a burden. Free yourself and let it go. So that's so easy. I like that. And the other one and that one was written by Amakiyasu herself. And the other one has to do with vibration. You know, I'm all about vibration. The vibration of your being is your point of attraction. I know we've talked about this, about being your authentic self, as opposed to trying to be a part of the crowd or a crowd pleaser. You know, what you bring is your vibration is what attracts people to you. So I thought that was a really good one. And that one's by Abraham Hicks. And I've read a lot about Abraham Hicks's contributions to thought and wisdom. So just wanted to share those two with you. And speaking of vibration, I did share this week about the AO scanner, which has these wonderful pictures in addition to tones and vibrations that help to put your body into balance. So there are a number of things that it does to do readings for you, to listening to your voice, but also kind of taking your Akashic record, your profile of yourself, and, you know, kind of taking your profile and taking your voice and telling you what's off, what's missing. And then it gives you tones to help balance that out. And the tones actually help with, helps your body to heal itself. So we spoke about that. I spoke about the wellness consulting that I do, and that I'm doing free, you know, at least first sessions with folks. So please go to heal.me/Imani to sign up for a free consultation, because I can share the tones. And I also, you know, do a whole kind of profile looking at some things using supplements and other tools and exciting things that we have coming up that we'll be able to share as well. So, and I've got discounts going on for the rest of December, as well as coming up in January. So calendar's getting full. So please reach out if you're interested. We have a young lady who's here assisting my mom because her regular caretaker, Tracy, some of you know Tracy. Greetings. Someone said greetings, everyone. Greetings. But anyway, the young lady who was here was just amazed, because every time I set something for my mom, at one point she was really kind of anxious and, just couldn't be settled. And I put on kind of like peace, calm, and tranquility. And I mean, in like 2 minutes, maybe less than 2 minutes, the young lady noticed. She was like, wow, what did you do? I'm like, I didn't do anything. It was the tones that just kind of put her back into balance. And there was another one. It happened like 3 different times. She's like, that thing right there, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I said, yes, it is. It really is. And it's all about vibration, sound vibration. So anyway, I do not want to take up too much time with that, but reach out, sign up for a consultation. Let's do this and have fun while helping the body to heal itself. So our guest this evening, this is such a really, really nice treat. I met Tayllor Johnson a few days ago. It was a few days ago. Yeah. My sister met her at a conference of educators and people that worked with independent schools. And she just kept getting this vibe like, she reminds me so much of Iman. Got to connect them. And so as it turns out, Tayllor went to my undergraduate school, Mount Holyoke, which is all about raising the vibration, confidence of women to make our contributions to the world. So I was real excited to hear that she went to Mount Holyoke. And Tayllor Johnson is an artist, a performer, an educator, and a founder of an organization, and Verb. Sisterhood is a Verb, Inc. A published poet, she has been writing and performing her poetry and plays for over 10 years. She is committed to using art. So she started when she was like 15, maybe 10, because she looks so young, but she's so mature and so dynamic. She's committed to using art to voice unspoken truths and guides people to discover and speak their truth to define their liberation. At Mount Holyoke College, where Tayllor received a bachelor's degree in psychology. I also started out as a psychology major. She began the journey of defining sisterhood and its importance in her life. Pursuing her master's at the Center for Experimental Humanities at New York University allowed her to expand on the intersectionality of community and arts integration in education, which led to Sisterhoodverb, Inc. Tayllor's experience in community building, advocacy, social justice, and spiritual healing further feeds her mission to find new ways poetry can empower the underrepresented, soothe the wounded, and disturb the status quo. I love that. Disturb the status quo, setting us all on a path to freedom. Now you know why I love her. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring Miss Tayllor Johnson to the forefront so that we can have a dialogue with her. Hey, there she is. Unmute yourself, beloved.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. You
Welcome.
Look wonderful. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to be with you both. Thank you for the invitation and the meditation and the reading. I have to run and get my notebook to take notes because there's always something to learn and you never know where it's going to come from. So you have to remain open. And it's just an honor to be here with both of you and with a fellow alum of Mount Holyoke. I feel all that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's, a women's college up in the woods, so many times while I was there, I was like, did I really do this to myself? Right. But I built such good bonds with other women, especially Black women, that I studied with, but lots of other women from different cultures and so forth. But really found it as a wonderful way to feel good about myself. A lot of times people ask Bernard, how are you feeling? I'm feeling good about myself today. And that's really, how did it make you feel like that going to a women's college?
Yes, it was all about me for once. I had, as soon as, in high school, it was all about whoever I had a crush on at the time. That was kind of,
yeah, I remember those
it was about them. So when I went to Mount Holyoke, all of that was just like, who are you? how do you want to present yourself as a woman, as a Black woman? And I had the space and the time to explore that. And I tell everyone who's looking into colleges, some people, I was one of those people who was like, women's college? No, thank you. Where's my husband?
Not there. Right?
And thankfully, I was at a college fair, and my mom was like, was looking at Wellesley, I think. Mm-hmm. And she said, you got to stop by the table, just give them 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, fine, I'll give them 5 minutes. The 5 minutes was all I needed. Then, oh, okay, this is what the next phase of my life is about. It's about who am I? Who is Tayllor? And Mount Holyoke was a space where I was able to figure that out without interruption. And I was able to find sisterhood in that space because it's a predominantly white institution. It inspired me, like, where, what am I looking for, and how do I find it? And I found it in that space. I'm forever grateful to Mount Holyoke.
Oh yeah. I mean, I too felt like it helped out who I really was, and that was powerful, and I mean, it was rigorous too,
Yes.
I mean, I remember, I remember things like, the seniors had to have all of their work in like a week before everybody else, and I had a lot of my friends were seniors, and we were doing, trying to get through finals period, and one of my sisters she still had like 4 papers to write. It's like, okay, you do this one, you do that one, you do this one. How we did that, I don't even know. I mean, we all were taking similar, courses, right. So it's not like, we were cheating or anything, but the is what I remember. We kind of pushed each other through and provided that needed upliftment, if you will, to just kind of get together. And the saying Ubuntu, we weren't leaving anybody behind. It's like, graduation time is coming. You have to get yourself out of here, by whatever means. And so to see people come together, women come together like that and support her was just amazing. I'd never experienced that kind of
priceless.
Yeah, no,
priceless.
Absolutely. So a little bit about your journey. Just think about from Mount Holyoke to where you are now, and what inspired you to and what Sister means, your organization. And
sure.
I want to speak too. Okay,
Yeah,
we're not going to leave you out.
We're not going to monopolize.
Thank you. For those of you who are watching, we had a joke before coming on live that they were going to run the show, and our producer and I was just going to sit back and
watch the show.
Go with it. So I'm going to jump in because she says, tell us your story. But I want to invite you to share your narrative earlier in life to bring us up to where you are. Like first 12 years of your life, what comes to mind about R when you look back in those first 12 years? Don't look up.
I didn't say anything. Thinking about how I do it.
So what I usually do to introduce myself is usually a poem, because that is the language that I feel like I've been given to express my truth. So I would love to share one of the first poems I wrote that kind of started this journey for me and kind of put my journey together, because you don't really understand things. You kind of understand things looking back, but you always have to move forward.
Yeah.
And poetry was kind of the glue that put those pieces together for me.
It's Sankofa.
Sankofa.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, we have so much. I love you guys. Okay. So one of the first poems I wrote after applying for college was called Tree, and I'll share that poem with you. I wish I were a tree, because if I were a tree, I would be able to be and breathe with the wind, not trying to win anyone or anything. Just be. And when I die, face first in dirt and foliage cracked in half, out from my abdomen will sprout a sequoia. If I were a tree, how easy would it be to give and receive? I'd be contributing to life without an agenda, a wallet, a phone. Just standing tall and alone would be enough for you, because if I were a tree, I wouldn't need any shielding. I would beckon lightning with every belly moan of thunder, and rain would only constitute as a blanket for me. If I were a tree, there would be no feelings, no need for tears. No, do you like me? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Why not? I don't know. Have you seen my father? You're being rude. Or I was being rude. I thought I was being honest. I hate crying for you. Why does this always have to happen to me? Stop trying to be perfect, Tayllor. You're only human. Not in this poem. In this poem, I'm a beautiful, luscious tree with birds for roommates and woodpeckers for alarm clocks, because Mother Nature never mentioned a suggestion box to me. So in her eyes, I'm just as brown and rough and gritty as she is. And I have room to grow and grow and touch planet X with my inspirations. No use in thank yous. Thank the sequoias before me. It takes death in a forest to create a legend. Okay. So that was one of my...
That was amazing. Oh my God.
Thank you. That's kind of my... Nature is my connection point, and poetry is the language for me. So poetry found me is usually the story. And I was around 8th grade or going into 9th grade when poetry found me. Before that, I didn't care about poetry. I thought it was a bunch of fluff, made no sense. I was not interested. I love to write stories though. And I went to, I'm sorry?
I was gonna say, how did it find you? I'm always curious about that.
My mom's I have two moms. They encouraged me to go to the California State Summer School for the Arts. And I went, and I had to write a poem to apply for the position. They helped me raise money so that I could go, and I got accepted. And they had you write, they asked you to write what your first 3 options were. So I put memoir, I think I put fiction, and my last was spoken word. I didn't want spoken word, and they promised I would get spoken word. So I went up the next day. It was an overnight, I think 6-week program of college level writing and creativity. And I went up, I looked, and I was in spoken word. And I was like, I'm going home. That was my main course. It wasn't nonfiction or fiction, and it wasn't memoir. I'm going home. So I emailed my moms. I'm like, I got put in spoken word. I want to go home. I don't want to do this. And I got a very prompt response back. We raised money for this. You're sticking it out. You're going. And that day was probably June, maybe mid-June. And I would call that my second birthday. I walked into that class. I believe that I was given my mission. I don't remember the class. I just remember walking out. I had written my first poem on napkin and red ink. And my first poem was about Africa.
Right.
And I was given my mission in that 2-hour class. It is my belief that God was like, this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life, and this is how you're going to work. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And I haven't been able to stop performing, teaching, writing since then. I came back with the mission. I mean, I was the Jehovah's Witness of poetry. I just, whenever there was an open door, I'm like, you want to talk about poetry? Can I show you a poem? It gave me a voice. I started to unlock memories. I started to unlock feelings I didn't know I had. I was seeing in Technicolor once I got pen to paper. And I began going to classrooms in high school, and I started teaching. I joined Get Lit, which was a literacy nonprofit in California. And I became a Get Lit player. So I began performing at high schools. Shout out to Get Lit. They're amazing. They're still strong, doing amazing things. And I performed at different high schools, supporting literacy. And that was kind of my work. And I was diving into poems as well. And part of the Get Lit program is learning classic poems and then writing a response. So I was learning Patricia Smith, Langston Hughes. I was diving into my poetic ancestors and then writing my response, and this connection was made. And I was able to go to a workshop at the White House with Get Lit. to Michelle Obama's workshop, which was amazing. And
Wow.
I knew that something was happening. I knew that I was healing. I was getting connected to what being Black meant. So I was writing about being Black in Los Angeles. People were calling me Oreo. I was grappling with what was, yes, for those who don't know, Oreo means that you seem Black, but inside you are white.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
right. Whatever
Okay.
that means, yeah.
So I was beginning to process all of these things. And then I went to Mount Holyoke, and I actually participated in 2010 in Brave New Voices and represented Los Angeles with Get Lit and the rest of my team. Worked with Bosia, a lot of amazing artists. And I did slam poetry.
Wow.
So I'm like, I have the fire. And when I went to college, I wanted to keep the fire. I was like, if there's no poetry club, I'm starting one. And then there was someone else who was like, I'm with you. We starting this. And I began to teach. I worked two jobs, teaching in the community in Chicopee or Springfield. I was teaching with students, and I was beginning to see the magic of what I experienced. I was seeing it in them. And now I knew it's not just me.
Right.
I have to give it away. And I started working during the summer. I had an internship, and this was another moment where I feel like God stepped in. God gave me poetry, and that's what I call the divine. And then God stepped in and gave me this other experience. When I was teaching fourth graders going into fifth grade, everyone was supposed to be I was writing curriculum at this point. How can I get poetry in the classroom? And everyone's supposed to perform. That was the assessment of my curriculum. And there was one fourth grader who was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I said, I believe you can do it. I'm going to sit with you. We're going to write this poem together. You just tell me, if the world had to stop and listen to you, what would you say? Yeah. So she wrote down something. She said, I would say this. I would say, I'm a dancer. I'm not quiet all the time. So I wrote this poem. It was probably 4 lines long. I said, tomorrow, you got this. The next morning, she comes. She says, my stomach hurts. I can't do this. I was like, you can do this. I told her, you can do this. It is 9:30, or maybe it was 8:30. I said, by 8:35, you'll be done. You can do this. So it was her turn to go. And she did her poem. Everybody, was supporting her. And the classroom in my curriculum, I have it written that is a call and response. So before a person performs, they say, I deserve to tell my story. And then the audience has to say, we want to hear your story. So that call and response, that community building. And she did the call and response. She did her poem. It was probably less than a minute. And she went and sat down. Everyone's clapping and happy. And I went to hug her. And as soon as I looked at her face, she had tears streaming down her face. And this always makes me cry because it's so powerful to me. But I've never seen someone so moved by their own voice. She wasn't upset. She just was so moved that the tears were coming.
You turned on her light. You turned on her light, and there's nothing more rewarding than you getting so many comments from Facebook and all this. They're like, girl, and we're getting and we're getting,
thank you.
Really nice feedback for you. I mean,
I'm so glad I received it, and this is the work. And I knew in her face, and she said, "Can you stop? Can you stay longer and tell my mom what I did?" And I knew that. I work for that. I want students to feel what I felt when the light was turned on. And that is my mission. And as I've grown and had my own spiritual journey, healing journey, and education, my intention is to blend those things and to help other women, other youth, especially Black youth and youth of color, to have the light turned on, as you said. I want to turn their light on. It might not be poetry, it might be singing, it might be dancing. If I can turn the light on, then they can just make it brighter, if that makes sense.
Right. And they can discover what it is for them, for themselves, you know.
Right, exactly.
And we just had your information flash across the screen so people can connect with you. Do you have a book of poetry or something that you want people to?
I'm working on one.
You're working on it. Okay. All right.
I'm working on one. And it's been years and years of writing and performing and just my journey as a Black woman. And I intend to create a book of that. And I have the pages here to share some of the work. This is my manuscript that I'm working on. So I look forward to sharing my experience and my journey through poetry in the near future.
Well, wait. As your big sister, your new big sister, I will push you and encourage you on that journey. I've written a couple books. I have one also that you can push me on because I've been working on it for about 5 years now, and I really need to release it. Belinda Hicks said, "You are making her cry. You are just motivating people in such a powerful way." And is there anyone that had a question? Did you see any questions over there? Mm-hmm. I think it's just mostly like people clapping in the amen corner. They're just so inspired by you and your words. Tayllor, amazing and inspirational. That just popped up. Wow.
Thank you. It is my mission.
So, since this is a part of your mission tonight, can you share another poem with us at this point?
Absolutely, I can.
Please.
Let me go through here right now. In the process of putting my book together, and my journey in healing has involved a lot of different methodologies, from therapy to spiritual readings to Reiki to yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and they all kind of come together through these different connections. Someone asked how old I am. I turn 30 next year.
Oh, wow.
I turn 30 next year.
All right.
3-0. Saturn return.
Yeah, I was 30 one time.
Yeah, I remember being 30. I cried when I hit 25. I felt like I was so old.
It's like that 25 is serious. That 25 is serious. Okay, so one of the poems that I'll share, actually, I hear my mom. I'm going to share one of these poems that was inspired by the Met Gala. It's called America's Integrity.
What was inspired by? I'm sorry, say it again.
The Met Gala. The Met Gala. Their museum exhibit that they have every year. Mm-hmm. I went to the one in New York, and I think one of the exhibits, the outfits was called America's Integrity, which inspired this poem. Okay. Presumptuous that it can fit on a quilted dress at the gala, that the puffy bedsheet bubbles faded and patched, reminiscent of something from my ancestral memory, made and prayed over in a shack, now a quaint nostalgic accessory to America's integrity. A performance, a secret. Under the dress, under the couture, under the eagerness to perform, it is screaming to be let free. From the denim dream of hard work, cowboy fantasies, extremists, genocidal petri dishes looking for forgiveness, I imagine those quilts and bed sheets draped over those white ghosts in those white rooms with flowers they've never seen and cotton that doesn't forget so easily, once christened an ancestor's home, my ancestor's home, covered our child near the heat to protect her from the cold, from America's integrity.
That was powerful.
Thank you. It is through poetry that I'm able to process some of the things that are happening in this world. And sometimes poems bring me answers, sometimes they bring me questions, sometimes they bring me solace, sometimes they bring me rage. And I am open to all of it. And I feel like through performance, that is where the magic happens. And that is what I want to share, not only in my performance, but having others share their truths as well.
Right. Someone said powerful. Someone else said thank you. you know, standing in your power, standing in your truth. Someone said, I thought she was still in high school or college. I already said that she went. Maybe they missed that part. But yes, you do come across as being both very wise and very youthful, which is such a benefit. You know, it's such a benefit. Yeah, and you know, I've also used poetry to make sense the world, to make sense of things that didn't make sense. You know, I told you I did a poem, and I don't have it in front of me, and I don't want to. I haven't memorized it. I heard Nikki Giovanni say a long time ago, I don't memorize my poems. So I said, okay, I don't either. But sometimes I wish I did, because then I could just, you know, pull it out. But I did a poem on the sister Sandra Bland. And I don't know if you remember her story. You know, she was stopped for a traffic violation and then ended up, you know, being hung in a jail cell. She clearly did not hang herself. And that was just such a painful thing to learn about that experience, and it didn't make any sense to me. So I had to write about it, you know, kind of to get out the rage that I felt from that. So I understand how you do the same thing with poetry. That, you know, that this is a lot of things in this world don't make sense, and poetry has also been a way to help make sense. Like you said, sometimes it's comforting, sometimes it just raises more questions, but at least it helps you to process whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Were the two of y'all gonna go do a dance of we say the poem together on the show?
I'm not good like although
we gotta brainstorm. We gotta brainstorm
with my granddaughter, but no, I'm not
really
that in front of the world tonight. No, thank you anyway. You tried. You might do that. but
I need some time. I'm not good at freestyle.
I'm not.
I don't have practice.
Yeah.
So I misunderstood y'all at the early on.
We talked about collaborating to work on a piece. What did we say we're going to work on? About Brittany. Yeah, about I mean, just all the negative stuff that's being thrown at her. And again, almost like the Sandra Bland, thank goodness, you know, Brittany's still here and was returned home. But the kind of negativity being thrown at her is just so incredibly painful, you know. And it's like, I feel that Black woman, you know, I don't care, you know, what her sexual preference is, and that's none of my business, you know. But people just really throwing mud, and I don't understand that at all.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It makes me think, and I was thinking of this last night in terms of the questions we ask about, you know, sisterhood and Black womanhood and some of the challenges that we face in connecting with each other, which is how for Sisterhoodverb was born. I start to think about the historical and generational trauma and roots that we have. And how else can we respond when history has told us that we are not even worth a grain of grace? How is that going to show up in our connections? Of course, I'm not really going to have I have to look out for me. Back in the day, my ancestors had to look out for them and their children, and that was it. They didn't have that luxury. So when I see this, how Brittany is being treated, I'm like, oh, this is a continuation, but now I feel empowered to kind of break that cycle. But we've had that for so long, the way they treated us. And what Trevor Noah said about Black women, I don't know if you've seen it on his last episode of The Daily Show, he thanked Black women for what they taught him. And I feel like I'm seeing clearly the root and how it's shown up and how it shows up and how we treat ourselves and others as Black women, the way that we are persecuted historically, generational trauma. It's slowly starting to make sense to me. And I have a lot more learning to do. So I'm excited.
Tell us more Sisterhood, the verb now, and what your objectives are, what it means, first of all, and then kind of what your objectives are in terms of fostering sisterhood so that we can support each other and help each other to rise.
Sure. So Sisterhoodverb came from a poem It all comes from a poem. And it's a letter to my unborn daughter. And I'd be happy to share it with you. I just need to find it. One of the lines is sisterhood is a verb. I wrote it in the poem. And the sisterhood verb business came from a shirt, which came from a poem. In this, I wrote a poem. Actually, I wrote a line on Facebook years ago while I was in college. I have a dream that one day women of color can pass by each other and not see imaginary enemies. And it spoke to my experience of just even crossing paths with a Black woman. They're looking at me like I've offended them, like I'm hurting them or a threat to them, like they need to defend themselves against me. And I never understood it. And I wrote that on Facebook, didn't think much of it. I was in Paris after studying at the University of Edinburgh with my mom, and we were about to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and I was so excited. And I was looking around, and I caught eyes with a Black woman. And she looked at me like I stole her ticket to the top of the Eiffel Tower. And I said, oh, this isn't an LA problem. This isn't a, being in high school problem. This is actually an international, this is a phenomenon that's bigger than that. And my mom suggested I put it on a shirt. So I put it on a shirt. I gave it to both my moms, and people were stopping me and asking, saying, yeah, what's up with that? That's my experience. People across the diaspora, white women as well, they're just like, what is this? And that's where I kind of started doing workshop facilitation to explore this. I am only the expert in my own experience. And I wanted to be in community with other women that we can explore who was the imaginary enemy? Where does this come from? And how do we overcome so that we can connect? And Sisterhood Verb was based off of that workshop facilitation that I've done in the past. It was based off of the arts integration work that I talked about in terms of art, healing, community, social justice, all in one space sustainably. That work, and then my poetry and performance work, and working with schools to bring poetry into the classroom with curriculum development. And that over all those three parts became Sisterhood Verb Incorporated. That is the work that I plan to do. That is, I feel like my mission is on this planet and in this phase of my life, is to start these conversations, turn the light on for others, and continue turning on the light for myself. Because looking back, I wrote that poem in college. Now looking at that poem, I'm very curious about who the imaginary enemy is. Is there a real enemy? How do I protect myself and others from that? If there is an enemy out there, it makes me think of white supremacy and how it exists covertly, and how we communicate, talk to, and connect to each other as people. And how do I disturb and disrupt that process for myself and others? And it's a journey. I know that it's a long journey, and an amazing journey, and a lifelong journey to find those answers. But I don't want to do it by myself. So Sisterhood Verb is that community building so that we could do it together.
I love that you're inviting sisters, and like you said, of the diaspora, of everywhere, to help to figure that out. I feel so much, and the poems that we shared earlier had to do with judgment and letting it go. And I think so often, because of the the injustices of racism and slavery and all the stuff we've been through, sexism, that we turn on ourselves, and so that when we see people who look like us, we start judging. It's like, oh, why is she wearing her hair like that? Or why is it? I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, I had really long locks, and I was walking through a grocery store, and I heard some young ladies giggling in the next aisle over, and they were at me, and they said, "That's why they invented the straightening comb." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Wow." I was like, "Whoa, where am I?" I just came from New York, and there were lots of people that had locks, and here too. But just that judging of, why is she looking like that? Why is she presenting herself like that? And we all do it. Why is she wearing that short skirt like her legs are way too big to have on that skirt. Okay, we do that, and sometimes it's out of caring. It's like if you really respect yourself, you don't want to present yourself, but and sometimes people just need to hear that they're okay and that they don't have to be flashy to attract attention, because it's usually not the attention we want anyway. But so we all have our thing of judging, but so much of the judgment, I feel, is rooted in self-hatred, and that's where the work really starts from. The more we learn to ourselves, and namaste, the divine in me, like, if we all thought like that, wow, wouldn't the world be different? And yet, unfortunately, we're so far from that it's nice to keep reinforcing it, to share namaste, and it's like, you're okay, you are, and so facilitating those discussions is such a powerful thing, I think, especially among women. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Tayllor, do you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 older brothers and a younger brother. So I am the only girl.
Wow. What was that like growing up?
It was hard, but I think it prepared me to connect to my femininity and to embrace that. Because I couldn't always, because of certain patriarchy type norms, I couldn't do what the boys did. I couldn't go and play outside. I had to be in the kitchen with the other women in the family sometimes. And I think that set me on that journey of finding the imagination and finding the creativity. And it prepared me for those questions about being a woman. What does that mean, and how to challenge that? I say I'm pretty tough, probably, from being the only girl in the family, though.
Did they beat up on you any?
I think what they did is they wanted to prepare me to protect myself.
To protect yourself. That was your excuse.
To protect myself. And usually I ended up hurting them, trying to prove that I could protect myself. So they did their best.
Wow.
So as we're moving on, do you have another poem that you can share with our audience?
Sure. So I'll share the poem that I wrote that brought the Sisterhood as a verb. And letter to my unborn daughter and every woman who made the sacrifice to refuse the comfort of silence today and always. And lastly, to me, you matter. You are loved. You do not need acrylic nails in the shape of animal claws to prove you are tough. You are enough. Stop punishing yourself for growing up, for being human, for making mistakes, for defining womanhood at your own pace. Be nice to yourself for once. I can tell that you're tired, and you're allowed to be. You're tired of fighting for space just so you can take a breath before diving in again while forgetting your own existence in the process. You are exhausted, using your lungs to speak up for all of us. I wish you would rest more. Know that I'm here for you. No matter how we stack up when they put us against each other for sport in this country, sisterhood is a verb. I am here if you need me, because I know you've been crying. I also know that you haven't cried enough. You have yet to slow down and witness what victory and progress looks like on our complexion. If you keep running, you will miss this. There was no need to fight just for the sake of keeping that angry woman image that we are not to be fucked with. Trust me, America already knows this. And trust me, America is threatened by us. That is why our power has become entertainment for their dull moments. So please remember, you have choices. And you're amazing, period. You have nothing else to prove to the world, to the privilege, to your family, to me. You have no one else to win over when discovering your power, because you deserve to be celebrated regardless. The fact you've made it this far. Go ahead, celebrate. Just because you have so much strength coursing through your veins, a river of our ancestors whispers, does not mean you have to be so hard on yourself. Do me a favor. Take it easy. The revolution is going to be women who know how to gnash teeth and be at peace. Being a woman does not mean you have to carry generations of resentment on your shoulders. Let it go. Take a breath and know that I love you and respect you and admire all that you are. I hope this is a message that you hear from your sisters and your kin instead of what it means to be the baddest chick. Love always, Tayllor Johnson.
Wow. I want to publicly dedicate that one to my sister Arlene, who connected the two of us. I mean, because she's just so fierce and so powerful, and all of these things that you mentioned in there. She's hard on herself too. So I love that poem. That is, I need to have that one written out, typed out, and on the wall. But I need to send her too. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Arlene, for...
Thank you, Arlene. Shout out to you.
Absolutely.
Came up to me and was like, we need to connect. I'll let you know we need to connect. And I trusted it, and I love that energy. Mm-hmm. So, Arlene, shout out to you, Arlene.
Yes. Shout out to Arlene. And we're almost out of time. I told you, we're going to have to go to an hour and a half or 2 hours because there's just not enough. And my sister, again, they're clapping for you.
Thank you.
So
thank you so much. This has been so great.
You have to come back, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. That's the version of absolutely.
I have so many. There's so many things that I would love to hear your experience on and to exchange. I recently started a project with my fiance called We Just Us, which is a creative multimedia publication where we're going to be highlighting diasporic art of all kinds. So we would love to feature you on the wellness section of our publication.
Thank you. What an honor. I would be honored.
We would be honored. We would be honored.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. That would be amazing. And so we've got some writing to do, some encouraging to do to get our current book projects finished, and we will definitely be in touch.
Oh yes.
Thank
you. Right. Oh my gosh, that's so much love.
Thank you.
Much love to you as well. Are we out of time?
Almost time. I asked Janet to play The Master of Light piece on HBO. There's a very powerful documentary I want to encourage our audience to watch. So Janet, can you run that briefly?
He's in it. He plays himself as a therapist.
Amazing.
Really, really, really powerful. So yeah, Janet, please run that for us. Tayllor, blessing.
Eagles versus pigeons. Which one would you rather be?
You said I want to be an eagle.
Why?
Because they fly higher than pigeons.
And what does that allow them to do?
See more.
Who are you?
So much of who I am today is my experience growing up in my hometown of Kansas City.
My mother had me at 15.
All I wanted was somebody to love me.
What have I done that's so bad that you can't forgive?
Mama set me up to go to prison instead of her. When the judge sentenced me to 11 years, I said, I'll show you. I think about the system that failed her. I am not what has happened to me.
Your story, your experiences, your being seen. It's no accident.
Well, I kind of always escape through art. If I just took the next step, the world would open up before me. Share this inner light within you. I am not what has happened to me. I am what I choose to become.
Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah. Yes. Every time
That
I
was
see
very
that,
powerful.
yeah, it is. You've got to
Wow.
see that. You've got to see the movie. It's on HBO Max. It's worth it, even if you don't have HBO Max. Get it for a couple days, and then cancel your subscription. But
So
it's worth
someone
it.
is asking, say the name of
But
the
the
movie.
movie,
It's Master of Light. Master of Light. It's a documentary. It's a true story, as you saw. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, George is
Yes,
a
congratulations on that.
phenomenal artist, and he practiced his craft in prison. He went to prison for having a little bit of crack on him for like 11 years. And that's what he said, you're going to send me to prison? I'll show you.
Yeah, and he's a Rembrandt artist, painter. So
he does the classics. Yeah. I mean, amazing. And I got to meet him. We went to they were featured in the Atlanta Film Festival, and just last spring. And so, we knew they were raising my movie and trying to get it out there. And next thing we know, we looked up and it's on HBO Max. It's like, wow, somebody discovered him. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations. More stories like that.
Yes.
More stories like that.
Well, Tayllor, you have to have the last word, and we have about 2.5 minutes remaining. So what would you and how would you like to leave our audience? What would you like to leave them with? I mean, you bless all of us tonight richly. We're inspired. We really appreciate you and who you are and who you are continuing to become. So send us off with however you want to send us off.
I will send you off with another poem.
Okay.
It is called River Meditation. I wrote it recently. I actually wrote it at the conference that Arlene and I met. And I invite everyone to take direction from the poem and hopefully email me with whatever comes from this. I would love to know.
When your email address, again, the banner with your email.
Oh, yes.
Janet, can you please put that?
Yes, please email me. Reach out to me with what comes to you. River meditation. Put your hands in the river. You can close your eyes if you'd like to. Notice the way the water embraces where you are from knuckle to palm. Let it wash the checklist off of you. There is no right way to put your hands in water. Allow it to humble the critic that hides in between your fingers. Notice how the river embraces you, holds every part as it exists in your wrists, without compromising your buoyancy or her beauty. Do you see how you shine in the waves, thrive in the currents of your story? You are in sync and you just got here. The sun is dancing around you, shimmering with your embrace, with ease. When you put your hand in the river, you are not asked to navigate, compromise, apologize, mobilize, or strategize, or even be correct. In this moment, the river is asking you to listen to her message. Hear her offering as she places it in your hands. Ask her a question. Then we can begin.
Wow. Thank you so much. I will definitely give him feedback about the river. I know he will too, because he had an awesome river experience in Ghana.
That's why I was traveling in my imagination. I went back to that experience in the wow, thank you.
I would love to hear that. Of course. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be of service and to share my story and walk in my mission and remind me why I do what I do. I'm very honored.
Back, and so we want more. We want more, right, audience?
Absolutely. Congratulations. Cannot wait to watch. Belinda Hicks, thank you so much for tuning in and for giving us your feedback, as well as other folks who've chimed in. We really appreciate you all. And
thank you all.
Stick around. We have a little debriefing afterwards, Tayllor, and I'd like to thank our audience again for tuning in.
Thank you.
Next Tuesday, same time, same place.
Yes.
All right.
Take
care.
Ashe.
Thank you.
Ashe.